to make sure.
Hello, and welcome into this week's edition of AFMC TV. We're glad you joined us. Today we're talking about nutrient-dense food, and we have JJ Mayo joining us today to talk about nutrient-dense food. And JJ, probably the first question that's the easiest here is, what is nutrient-dense food?
Well, thanks, Michelle, for having me. Yeah, nutrient-dense food, it's one of those nutrition concepts that doesn't get talked about a lot. But basically, when you're looking at nutrient-dense food, that's a food that when you look at the calories and you compare the nutrients, the nutrition that's in that food, that means there are more nutrients relative to the calories. Okay. There's another concept related to that we call energy-dense foods. Those are just the opposite. Those are foods where it's got a bunch of calories, but there's no nutrition involved. If you were to compare like drinking a glass of milk versus drinking a regular soda, it's pretty obvious that the milk's going to have more calcium, it's going to have more vitamin D, it's going to have some of these nutrients that the regular soda is not going to have. Sometimes we call the energy dense foods, we call those empty calories too. So, but that's what nutrient density is. It's really how many nutrients are in that food relative to their calories.
So is there, as we apply it to the holiday season, because Christmas is right around the corner, what are some of these nutrient dense foods that we could take in maybe before a holiday party so we don't overindulge when we get to that party?
Yeah. So let me take this a step back. So if you're going to have a meal around the holidays, a lot of the foods that we eat technically are nutrient dense. Like you talk about turkey, which is a common we have over the holidays. You know, turkey we think of it just as protein, but turkey has lots of vitamins and minerals, everything from selenium to B12 that you can really only find in meat, to phosphorus, which helps with bone. So turkey would be one. And there are several others, things like cranberries and things like pumpkin and things like sweet potatoes and, you know, those types of green beans even. But what we tend to do in our holiday meals is we add extra sugar, extra fat, and we have the turkey with the stuffing. We have the pumpkin and pumpkin pie, right? And pumpkin pie is not that bad, or we have pecans, right? That's another one that's used during the holidays. And we made pumpkin pie, or pecan pie, which is really one of the most energy-dense foods you can eat. So we usually take these nutrient-dense foods and we combine it with a bunch of sugar and fat and make it less healthy that we usually eat over the holiday season. Sweet potatoes are one of the best foods you can eat until you make sweet potato casserole, or green beans are really pretty good for you unless we throw some, cheese on there and we make a green bean casserole. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then going to your question about what to do before, if you're going to go to a party and you're going to have some of these things there, you're like, maybe I shouldn't eat that, then yeah, you can definitely have some nutrient dense snacks. Things like nuts would be a good example. You can have even a small salad or some veggies. Those all work before a party, just to have a little something to take the edge off so you don't go in there to your meal ravenous and eat things that maybe you shouldn't.
You know, it's such a tough time of year because it's cold, and so you want to stay cozy and you want to eat, and that helps keep you warm, but then you don't want to pack on the pounds, and we all know how quickly time is flying, so we're going to be talking about beach body weather before too long. Exactly. Some of these tricks really can work to our advantage.
Yeah, if you're eating nutrient-dense foods throughout your day, that definitely will keep the snacking at bay. I didn't even mean to make a rhyme there, but if you're eating these nutrient-dense foods most of your day, it's going to curb that appetite, especially if you have good protein in there, you have lots of healthy fats in your meal. It's going to keep you from snacking. It can help you lose weight over the long haul.
That's good because, yeah, if you don't need to snack, then those are the empty calories that you don't need.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely, it is helpful. And it's all about quality, right? Because another word you might use and people use this, right? Instead of nutrient dense, it's just the nutrition quality. What's the quality of your diet? And we know, like we just said a second ago, we tend to take foods that are really pretty good for you and we kind of ruin them, right? And make them less healthy. And I must say too, for folks that are watching, as you go into these meals around the holidays, just realize that it is just one day And maybe there are times when you want to go into these holidays and you say, you know what? I don't get sweet potato casserole. I don't eat it any other time of the year. And so I'm going to eat it, at this Christmas meal, or I'm eat it this Thanksgiving meal or New Year's Day, whatever it is. But so you make a wise choice. I think that's what I would like people to hear.
And it's okay to treat yourself, just not treating yourself every single day.
That's exactly right. These holidays are really just one day. It's not, that's what happens, right? Over Christmas is just one day, but we tend to make it a whole week. And then with the holidays, it's a whole month or so. And you look up and, oh gosh, I've gained 5, 6, 7 pounds by the new year. And then you're ready to start with the weight loss all over again.
That's right. That's right. Well, JJ, in our final minutes, is there anything else you'd like to add, or any tips to kind of help get us through these last remaining weeks here in 2021?
Yeah, I know that there's a opportunity here, right, for people as you're going to these holiday seasons. The mindset is, a lot of times we have the maintain it, don't gain it mindset, and that totally works, right? For people to say, the holidays are going to be more challenging. You're going to be around family, and you want to enjoy your family, and maybe you might eat a little more than you would like. But if you can just maintain it through the holidays and then get back on track in January, I think people are good to go, and realize you're just here to make progress. It's not about being perfect, right? Progress over perfection. I'll take that all day long.
That's right. And don't beat yourself up.
Right.
If you have 2 pieces of pie instead of 1, it's okay.
It's super easy to do before you know it, right? Especially when you're hanging with family. So wish everybody the best during these holiday seasons.
Great. All right, JJ, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Michelle. Take care.
Dr. Chad Rogers joins us now. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Holidays. Yeah, happy holidays.
We are definitely in the festive frame of mind now. We're just a few weeks out from Christmas, and it's an exciting time of year.
I know, it's my favorite time of the year. It's such a great time to be with family and friends and just enjoy all the lights and all the joy.
I feel like we are, cramming so much into this time of year, particularly this year, because I feel like we might have been robbed of some of that last year.
Right.
So, all right, kids, let's start with the kids first. They are going to be headed home, getting out of school for a couple of weeks, having that long Christmas break. How do they not just go back to the couch and back to the device?
Right, and that's the real danger. I think the real hard part is that, the days are shorter. It gets darker earlier. It's also colder outside, so sometimes the weather is not as good. Although we're pretty lucky in Arkansas, November, December, sometimes you have some really nice fall days that are summery, but really trying to limit that screen time. And so that's probably the biggest challenge, and it's hard for parents. When they're in my office, I try to kind of be the bad guy, and I'm like, so do we want to limit to 1 hour screen time, and the kids are like 1 hour, and it's like, and the recommendation is no more than 2.
Okay.
But then I'm like, oh, well, then we can just do no screen time. And they're like, no. And it's like, well, no, then maybe let's try to limit it to 2 hours, and then let's try to get outside, and let's try to do something fun and something active. And there's a lot of things you can do indoors too that are pretty active.
Are you seeing, as we've gotten somewhat back to normal this fall with kids going back to school and being out on the playground and being out and just kind of running? I know we talked earlier this year just about how the rise in type 2 diabetes had doubled in younger kids. Are we seeing some of that maybe starting to reverse, because they are being active now?
Right.
They are getting back
I think
outside.
what we saw during the pandemic is a lot of kids gain that, we've been called the COVID-19 pounds. 20 pounds is sort of the national average from being so inactive and so sedentary. And that's one of the things that school is so important, because it does get kids at least up and moving and at least walking in the halls at school, and then doing PE, and then getting back into sports. And so all those things have been so helpful. But we've seen a lot of kids just sort of playing off. Sort of, we're not kind of getting to that weight loss phase of things. Also, November, December, that's the time of the year where people gain the most weight. And throughout the entire year, your biggest weight gains tend to be in the season of November and December, which makes sense. Days are short, not as active, lots of calorie dense food, lots of celebrations, lots of cookies and brownies, all the things that we kind of enjoy through the holidays. So we got to kind of watch that.
So what would be some of your best advice, or what is the advice that you're giving to parents as kids are coming in for end of the year checkups and things, and just reminding them to be active, stay active, get outside, help your dad or your grandpa or the neighbors string Christmas lights or something.
Right. You know, we get so focused on so many things like that, like getting decorated and getting presents and, you know, getting people together and cooking meals. And really the things that we're going to remember when we get older are the times that we spent with our parents.
Yeah.
And so parents are our role models. And when it comes to being active, I mean, I need to be more active. And so kind of choosing things to get the family more active together, spending time together is probably more important than exchanging gifts, even though that's fun, and eating. I mean, that's a very popular cultural tradition, is to get together and we eat when we get together. Mm-hmm. And so, but, you know, finding activities that we can do. Like I said, sometimes we have some really beautiful days in November, December. Get outdoors. The snakes are hibernating. The mosquitoes are gone. There's less bugs. It's a great time to go into the woods. It's a great time to start some family traditions, like the football game after lunch, you know, or go take a hike on the Big Dam Bridge or whatever is it, your local park. The other thing, I think, you know, you can find things to do inside together. Our family has dance parties. So after dinner, we turn up the music and we all dance and have a good time together. And that's a great way to get active. And the kids, it gets really fun. And it's a great way to be together as a family.
That's right. Just get that heart rate up.
Get that
it makes
heart
all
rate
the
up.
difference.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
good. Well, so let's kind of talk now. You know, we've talked about kids and keeping them active. You touched on it earlier, that delicious, luscious holiday food. I mean, it's
spinach dip, brownies.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
As well as all the cocktails,
Right.
too. I mean, it's really the double whammy. It's all the great food, but then all the great drinks. But there are ways to be successful in navigating the holidays and avoiding some of the weight gain.
And you and I talk about this all the time. Number one important thing during the holidays is staying hydrated. So the best beverage you can drink during the holidays is water. We think about it a lot in the summer, but not as much in the winter.
It's harder to drink it in winter.
It is. You just don't get that thirst all the time, or you don't have that sense that you've lost it through sweat or whatever. So water is your number one best friend, right? And so staying hydrated, especially before going out and going to parties, and trying to limit the amount of alcohol you take in. We see alcohol intake really increase quite a bit during the holidays as part of the festivities. It's also one of those things that sort of drives hunger. So you go to an event after work on an empty stomach, you drink that glass of wine, you're going to eat more and you're probably going to drink more. Mm-hmm. So, you know, trying to think about beforehand, before the party, getting that bottle of water in, having a snack before you go, eating a light salad, maybe, you know, some apples and peanut butter if you're not allergic to peanuts. Something, maybe have a turkey sandwich, just something so that you don't go into that party just famished. And, you know, sit there at the table, you're usually standing and just, you know, putting the food in, and you're not aware of how many calories you're taking in. And I know you're going to talk later a lot about sort of those calorie dense foods are so popular at the holiday season. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're not aware how many calories we are taking in.
That's right. What about, well, along those lines, we're taking in a lot of calories with that cocktail.
We are.
That mistletoe martini.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get you every time.
Yeah.
So
definitely high sugar drinks, you know, that we're drinking during the holidays. And it is kind of fun. We kind of touched on mocktails being an option at parties as well, instead of cocktails. A lot of us are trying to do better after coming out of a season of the pandemic when a lot of us increased our alcohol intake out of boredom and just depression and anxiety. And so we're going into the holiday season with that kind of rolling along. Mocktails are sort of a fun substitute, but you really have to be very cautious because they do tend to come with a lot of sugar, and a lot of even like eggnog is pretty good, but pretty dangerous. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about some really high calories, but we all want a little bit of eggnog, but the key is to have a little bit of eggnog and then drink your water. But, you know, trying to make sure you're doing that. One of the tricks that I use often to cut some of the sugar in those drinks, club soda is your friend. Number one, it's giving you some hydration and it cuts some of the sweetness and it has no calories. Yep. Number two, using some sort of sugar substitute, and then instead of like the simple syrup or the sugar that goes into a lot of those drinks, because those are the real hidden calories that get you.
I've enjoyed here recently just some sparkling water and lime.
Yeah.
And you drop that in a wine glass or any glass of choice, and no one knows that you aren't drinking
Right.
a cocktail of some
it's
sort.
Still fun and festive.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And just like you said, you're staying hydrated. You're able to watch everyone else, and you're not going to wake up the next morning, feeling your age.
Right.
So
right.
It's not
Fully
bad.
dehydrated.
That's right. Real quick, dry 30. That always comes in January, but
right.
not necessarily a bad idea to maybe put it in place
Right.
this last half of the year.
A lot of people make a resolution to try to cut back on drinking or maybe stop drinking altogether. And so there's sort of that dry January. Not a bad idea, especially coming out of the pandemic and coming out of the holiday season. But, I think one thing is it's that kind of all or nothing. It's kind of like the screen time we were talking about. It's like, really kind of making that commitment throughout the year. So, 14 drinks a week for a male, 7 drinks a week for a woman, sort of considered sort of a safe range and a healthy range. Anything beyond that could be excessive. Of course, drinking all 7 drinks in one day is probably not a great idea
That
either.
might be excessive, yes.
But having some moderation throughout the year, set goals for yourself that you can attain. Yeah. And then, a lot of times when we deprive ourselves, then we binge.
Right.
So, kind of making plans and making sure, and again, looking at what kind of we could be doing in the spring. There's a lot of fun spring cocktails with cucumbers and water and lavender and all these kind of great scents and smells that kind of go into, or rosemary that go into drinks, that we can look forward to sipping on as it warms back up.
That's right. Your beach body starts now.
Beach body starts.
What you're doing now
Yeah, right.
might translate in your swimming suit in 12 weeks.
we all know it. It's so easy to gain and it's so hard to lose. So by just at least maintaining our weight throughout the holidays will kind of set us ahead.
That's right. All right. Dr. Chad, thanks so much.
No
Thanks
problem.
for joining us today.
So glad to be here.
And thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday.